There we go. Yeah, again, resetting the mic. Shaggy SoCal with 2Old4Forza. Let's go drive Road America. So instead of doing the whole intro and then run the flying laps, Road America's pretty long. So I'm just going to go out and run the flyer laps now and get started on this. So this will be the second race for the final week in the Falcon XP, and this is just a wonderful old school road course. Third gear. Look for the flat of the curbing. So again, I'll do this lap, I'll do one flyer. And then we'll do the slow track walk. We'll point out all the fun quirks and features. Oh, that's too much Doug DeMuro. But just kind of do the track walk around Road America, pointing out the things I'm looking for, what I think the car is going to do. And then I'll run the mock race with what I think is going to be the race length. And we'll see how long it takes and go from there. Turn 5, second gear. This is where the fun begins. Heading up at turn 6 like that. Turn 6, you brake right before the crest, turn in at the crest because you really can't see the corner until you get into it. The car's going to slide a little bit. Second gear up to third. Breathe the throttle a little bit to get in. Back end's going to want to step out a little bit. That's a fun one when you get it right. Through hurry downs, bottom of the hill here, brake, second gear, turn in, heading into the carousel. Two different approaches you can do for the carousel. You can do the, hey, I'm just going to be nice and easy with it when I get in, or you can be a little bit aggressive and wait for the front tires to start to push. Either way, you want to get a nice exit out here, and then heading toward the kink. Say a little prayer, put it in fourth gear, little lift to get in, roll back on the throttle at apex, and you should be able to track nicely through there. Okay, down through kettle bottoms. Little double apex here, set up on the left side for Canada corner. Second gear. You can use a bit of that curbing. Keep it neat and tidy. Up through Thunder Valley. Tree let up, let off. Clip the inside curbing here. Head toward the Kohler sign. Brake right before the new pavement. Off second gear. Late apex. Oh, a little bit of oversteer. Onto the front straightaway. Let's try this again. Now that I can get a full amount of momentum down the front straightaway. So definitely up to fourth gear. Braking. It's about halfway between the 4 and 3 boards as long as they are standing. Brake only down to third. Look for the flat of the curbing to kind of parallel up against. That's a little too wide. Keep it in third, down the hill, through turn 2, down to turn 3, brake at 2, down to second gear, use a bit of curbing on the inside, that's probably a little more than I should. Out, you can use a little bit of the exit curbing, up third gear. Road America is weird because this little kink to the right is 3A. Turn 4 is the kink here to the left. So turn 4 is right here. And then turn 5 is at the bottom of the hill. Yeah, go figure. Oh, that's a little pushing a little bit. Second gear, up the hill. Turn 6, brake right before the crest of the hill. Turn in just as you get under the bridge. Use a lot of the curbing there. Third gear. Usually ease off the throttle just a little bit. Take torque out of the wheels. Bring the car back across, down the hill. Brake at the bottom of the hill. Right at the transition at the bottom, down to second. That might be a little bit late. Roll back in. All right, here's the aggressive way. I'm just going to floor it in third gear. And when I hear the front tire start to push, I just ease off the throttle. It's going to put me a little wide. Roll back in as soon as you see the start of that curving. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Get out of the carousel, bring it to the left. We'll do it in third gear. You could do the kink in third. You still have to crack the throttle a little bit. My preference is fourth, and for the opposite reasons why sometimes I choose the lower gear in certain turns. Down 3, down 2. Put the curve in there, roll back into the throttle. Thunder Valley. Third gear, just ease off the throttle, turn in, roll back in at apex. Let the car come all the way out. Brake down to second. Again, I usually take a little bit wider of an entry. Not as wide as I've done in other cars. Usually the faster cars, I'm way wider. But that's the quick flying laps of Road America. So let's do the track walk and break this down a little bit. At least point out the things I'm looking for. So again, screaming down the front straightaway, fourth gear. The braking point for turn one is, and this is the hard part, I haven't quite sorted it out. Again, we've got the nice braking boards here on the left side that I guarantee you are not going to be there during the race, because one of us is going to go wide here or get pushed wide, and those are going to go bye-bye. But if you're looking for references, again, the braking line starts to go red somewhere just before the three board. So, maybe you start looking at light poles on the left if you're trying to find an additional reference if you can't see the braking line. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. So like that pole right there might be helpful. I haven't found anything yet myself, so I am kind of relying on the braking line too. But it is, for me here, fourth gear, turn one is a third gear corner. So it's brake down to third. It's not as evident here on this track map, but this isn't quite a full 90-degree turn. It's a little less than 90 degrees. So for me, it's a third gear turn. Now, what I'm looking for is I'm turning in and trying to get the car lined up. This is similar to Sebring. This inside curbing is not nice, and it's not a nice even curve. So it'll slightly turn a little bit, and then it turns more sharply, then it flattens out a little bit, and then it turns a little bit at the edge. So what I'm trying to do is, you can kind of see the perspective here. You can kind of see where it takes a sharper turn, it kind of flattens out. What I'm trying to do as I get in is I'm trying to get the car lined up where I am parallel with where it flattens out. And it's kind of also, if you want to look at the extra gray little curving that's on the inside, that's kind of what I use, to kind of get the car lined up. I'm still got a little bit of steering in, but if I've got the car positioned here, as I'm getting back to the throttle, it usually 9.9 times out of 10 puts me on a good arc out to where maybe I just cross over the curbing. But most cases I don't, but I'm definitely not going to go too far, because I think the curbing here, you can use quite a bit before it's going to ding you. So I would say you could probably, if you're using hood view, you could probably straddle the white line right down the middle of the hood, and you're not going to be too wide. But if you do get out the curving, get it back off as soon as you can, because obviously you're going to run out of it and you're going to hit grass. So again, Road America is weird with turn numbers. Turn two is this nice little gentle right kink before you get to the sharp right hander at the bottom of the hill. So that's turn two. Turn three, braking, is about where the two board is, or shortly before. That's about where I'm braking. Again, this is going to be fun because I rely on the braking boards. I don't have any other reference points. So if we take those out, I'm not screwed. I'm just going to be okay. I've got to use the braking line. Give yourself a little bit of wiggle room here. You do want to get as close to the edge of the track as possible, but again, love Road America. It's a classic old school road course where track limits is the grass. So you got to be careful that you don't get the left side into the grass when you get under braking, because it'll pitch the car sideways and it'll suck you off into the sand trap. So for me, your third gear, brake, 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 down to second gear, turning in probably about where the edge of the cement barrier here is, where it kind of goes wide there. And ideally, you can use a bit of this inside curbing here. I'm going to try and get on it late, maybe 2/3 of the way, rolling back into the throttle, going all the way out to the left side here. Can use a little bit of the exit curbing. In second gear, up to third gear, up to fourth gear. So again, as I said on the hot lap, this little gentle turn, they call it 3A, I believe, and then where it gently kinks back to the left is 4, and the sharp left at the bottom of the hill is turn 5. So, kind of let the car drift back over here to the right side. For me, braking for turn 5 is right before the two board. If you can see the two board, you can tell it's also right where the grass ends and it kind of turns into the runoff area. So, if you can spot that, you can't see the braking line because you're following somebody, try and spot the braking boards. 3, just know you got to brake right before 2. At least I'm braking right before 2. You might need to brake back a little further, or you might try and brake a little later. Again, 4th gear down to 2nd. I don't have a definitive turn-in point. I'm just trying to get the car woed down. I'm looking at the apex so that when I can release the brake and I can turn the car in. Ideally, I'm going to try and eat some of this curbing on the inside, roll back into the throttle. Again, the exit kind of crests up over a hill. So just, as you're reapplying the throttle and coming out, don't be surprised at the back end if the rear spin up and the back end kicks out a little bit. Shouldn't be anything you can't manage. 2nd gear, keep it, straighten it out, up the hill. 3rd time talking about this. This is, turn 6 is tough, mainly because you're pretty much turning in blind. You just kind of have to trust where the apex of the corner is and that you get your turn in right. But the braking, you're going to have to brake right just as you get to the Corvette bridge. So it's just as you get here, it's going to be a brake, and you're going to turn in as you cross under the Corvette bridge. And if you do it right, you should just be able to maybe make a couple adjustments. You can use a bit of that inside curve, roll back into the throttle, out to the left side. And again, like turn 5, you got a little bit of banking through there, and it kind of crests out. Same thing with 6. You crest the hill, and then it banks in and crests out. So just these next couple of turns are all that way. So you're just going to have to just manage the back end of the car as best you can with steering and just gently adjusting the throttle. But just know that exits are going to be a little squirrely. This is one turn for heading into hurry downs where I differ from the braking line. I like, #me personally, I like bringing the car all the way out to the left side. I'm in 2nd gear. I will put it in 3rd just as I get to this outside curbing. And as I do, it's usually, if I time it right, is as I shift, that's when I'm going to turn in. I'm going to ease off the throttle a little bit to get the car in, notice the banking, start to roll back into the throttle and exit, and just kind of be prepared for the back end to kind of, skip out a little bit. Other things you might try, if you don't want to shift early, you might try, going into the corner and then shifting at apex. And that way, if you're using just manual transmission, shifting at apex will cut the throttle a little bit. That might help get the car through there. So play around with that. I don't know that I would stay in 2nd all the way through it. It might bang the rev limiter a little too much. Coming down here at the bottom of the hill, braking is just before the 2 board or the Chevy board or the little spot on the road there, whichever you can spot. I don't have any other things to look at. I'm usually, at this point, Road America is one of those that I tend to be a little more straight focused than really seeing what's going on around me. So again, 3rd gear down to 2nd, and turn in. Again, I'm going slow, so I'm turning in where the pavement changes. But I'm going to try and clip the orange. Yeah, red and yellow, orange. Clip the curbing there. Roll back into the throttle on the way out 2nd gear. And heading into the carousel, I will put it in 3rd. Now, I said there's 2 approaches to this. You're going to be on full throttle regardless till about maybe here. So maybe get until you pass the 2nd, what is that? Johnsonville Brats. So as I'm kind of getting past that 2nd Johnsonville sign, 2 differing philosophies of how you want to take the carousel. If you want to play with like how long can I stay full throttle, go ahead and stay full throttle. What will happen is, it's still kind of gentle at this point. It starts to tighten up. Plus, the car is going to get, once the weight finishes kind of transferring and it sets, the fronts will start to scrub. And you just need to pay attention to when that moment happens so that you can ease out of the throttle so that you can still try and bring the car back and keep it to the inside. The other philosophy is once you kind of pass that 2nd, between that 2nd Johnsonville and 3rd, it just ease off a little early, and the car will actually kind of stay nice and neat close to this white line. So ideally, we'll see what I do when I get out there, but I'm trying to hug this white line as long as I can. And I got my eyes forward as far as I can, because what I'm looking for, I'm going to be balancing the throttle. I'm not going to be full throttle. What I'm looking for is the second that I see the beginning of the exit curbing on the inside. And I'm not looking for it's not the where it's red and yellow. It's actually the gray curbing that starts it. Let me get a little further here as we go through. So keeping it neat and tidy the inside. The second I see it, there it is. So you can just kind of see the beginning of the curbing there. The second I see that, I'm going to try and get back to full throttle. I'm not going to stab it, but I'm going to just roll back in, maybe just like about that. Just when I'm running the laps, you'll see my throttle trace on the speedometer at the bottom right. But I'm going to try and roll back into it, because at that point you should be able to be back at full throttle, and especially by the time you get to the curbing, and just follow that curbing, full throttle, and then just let the car just on its own drift out to the left side. If you can master that and you can maximize your speed exit out of here, you might set up a passing situation heading into the kink. You might be able to set up a run that maybe you can't get by someone before you get to the kink, but maybe you can get something set up so that you can, hopefully set something up at Canada Corner. But now we head down to the kink. The kink, I cannot do it flat. I'm not saying that it can't be done flat. You might be able to do it flat. I can't. So what I'm doing is I'm actually popping it up into fourth gear. This is where I say this is the opposite. A lot of times when I talk about, you have a choice of gearing, if you want to be in the lower gear and higher RPM and have a little more, put the car in its toes a little bit more so it's a little more pointy, or do you want it a little more relaxed, a little freer going through the corner? This is the one occasion where I think fourth gear is, for me, more comfortable than third. But regardless of which gear you're in, it's kind of the same process. I'm gonna put it in fourth. For me, I'll probably put it in fourth as I get to the curbing here on the left side. Initially, as I'm kind of getting into rhythm, I probably won't be on the curbing. But as I get more and more comfortable, I'm going to start cheating the car onto the curbing a little bit and try and open the turn up as much as I can. I'm not really paying attention where I'm turning in, but it's usually somewhere, I think it's somewhere around the 1. I'll start to turn the car in, and it is a crack of the throttle. I'm not coming all the way out of the throttle. I'm not even, I'll try and pay attention to how much I'm coming out of the throttle. I'm really just focused on spotting the apex of the kink and getting through there without dying. But it is a little bit lift of the throttle just to get a little bit weight back on the front, get the car balanced. Once, if you've done that and you've done it right, the car should go in very nicely to the apex curbing here. And just as you're getting to it, you should be able to start rolling back into full throttle and then let the car just naturally just come all the way out to the left side on its own. If you want to try it flat, go ahead. I haven't been able to do it. I think you're going to need to, because if you try to do it flat and you turn in, because you're going full throttle, the weight transfer is going to spin the rears up. You might lose the back end a little bit. You might be in a bit of a tank slapper, or the car's going to push on its own. But I think the best way is just crack the throttle going in with the hopes of being able to get back on full throttle with the apex. Now down through kettle bottoms. You're at the left side here. Usually I treat these next little gentle left-handers, I almost want to call it a double apex corner. I'm going to be the left side here. When I get to this first apex, I'm going to let the car come about to about half track. And then I'm going to aim for the second apex to bring the car back across so that I'm on the left side for Canada Corner. Now, I have to look this up. I always wondered why this corner, we're in Wisconsin. I always wondered why they call this Canada Corner. And supposedly, at least as the story goes, I think with the spectators' grandstands, that there was, back in the early days, that there were Canadians that would come down for the racing here at Elkhart Lake, and they would be at this turn. And this is back, I think, during a time when well, at least maybe what beer they're selling. I guess the Canadians were notorious litter bugs and left a lot of Molson products in the spectator areas here at Canada Corner. So hence, because of that, that's how they named it Canada Corner. That's the story I've heard. I have no idea if that's true. But this is Canada Corner, heavy braking, fourth gear down to second gear. Get the braking right, look for the apex, go ahead and turn in. I'm going to use as much of the curbing as I dare. Very easy, you can overdo that one. Roll back into the throttle past apex. I'm going to try and stay off the exit curbing out there if I can. Up through Thunder Valley. are coming out of Thunder Valley. I'm going to cheat and bring the car to the right side. And again, as I get more confident and into rhythm, I will probably put right side tires on the curbing. For me, the turn in for this is I am actually kind of using the green here of the trees. There's a certain point, probably right about here, where that big tree goes out of view, and it's mostly not that one, but the trees before it. When they go out of view and I just see a whole bunch of green disappear in my peripheral, that's what I'm turning in. And it's just a lift of the throttle in third gear. Again, it's blind. You're not going to see the inside curving until you get to it. Roll back into the throttle, let the car come all the way out. You can cross over the white line here a little bit. Bring the car back across, about the middle. Now, in higher class cars, usually I like trying to get the car all the way out to the left side for the final turn onto the front straightaway. This car, I don't think you need to do it. But what I want to point out is, notice the color of the pavement going forward. You know, we're on this very light, what I would consider the oldest track surface when they scanned it. Then you have that small section where it's a little bit darker, which means it's probably a little bit newer pavement. And then you have the really dark pavement, which that's probably the newest. Probably, who knows? They might have repaved that section right before Turn 10 came in and scanned the track back in Forza 4. I don't know if they rescanned it between 4 and 5. So again, you got kind of the color striping there. For me, braking is going to be right before you get to the darkest pavement. And I'm going to brake. I'm going to be a little left of the braking line at this point, but it is about mid-track. Heavy braking, third gear down to second. And where I differ is I will still try to do a later turn in a late apex on this corner to roll back into the throttle, let it come out to the left side, maybe get on the curbing a little bit, and up on the front straightaway. So that's Road America. Love this track. One of my favorites. So at that point, let's go ahead and end the test drive. Are you sure? Yes, I am sure. So guesstimated race length right now is 14 laps, but we're going to run a race with a quick stop and actually see if that's the case. Again, Road America is going to be tough to get the lap count right, just because it is such a long lap compared to, you know, it's going to be like Spa. So let's go ahead and, hello. Oh, there we go. I was like, why isn't it working? Let's go ahead and 14 laps. Let's go ahead and start the race. So if you're new and you're watching this for the first time and go, what is this mock race you're running? Well, the way I practice is if I'm doing offline practice on my own, I can't, you know, I want to try and simulate as best as I can what I might encounter during the race. It's not going to be exact. So I am going to run the race, you know, try and run the race length. I'm going to do a quick stop. I'm going to try and pit. Usually I pit about halfway, which is usually in that 15 to 25-minute window. And I try to put enough traffic out there in front of me that I've got things to work through. And I do the bucketed, you know, I do the different, you know, at least three different buckets to try and give me traffic to catch, and hopefully traffic that's a little quicker than me that tries to push me. It's been tough with this one. So historic road racer starting at the front, the same class this car is in. AI is not as quick as I am. Historic drag racers following. They're going to be really quick on this front stretch and the stretch heading down to turn 5. They're going to be fun to watch on the back half of the course. And then right in front of me is the classic Formula One cars, or Bertha Grand Prix, I believe is what the division is. They're going to be much quicker than me on the straights. I'm hoping I can catch them in traffic on the back half of the course, and then me starting 60 seconds back. So this is how I practice on the nights when I am not able to join the practices leading up to the race when you guys set up your lobbies. So third gear, fourth gear down to third, and cold tires pushing a little bit wide. Okay. Yeah, the braking is right about the polar sign, though. Again, it's going to be one of those. Be interesting to see how long those boards last during the race. Okay, here we go down to turn 5. little bit late, pushing a little bit. Yeah, I'm really not getting back to full throttle until I'm pretty much out of the corner. That was late, but I think we can salvage it. All right, so I'm looking ahead. Where's the curbing? And I started pushing wide. I held it too much to the inside. It takes time to get that consistent. So yeah, I think I tried to take a quick glimpse. We'll see how that progresses, but I think I'm, 75% throttle and turn in there for the kink. And again, braking line wise for that left-hander out of Thunder Valley. If you don't want to look for the trees to disappear on the left side, turn in right as you get to where the braking line starts turning yellow. It's good reference there as well. Maybe a lonely couple of laps here until the F1 cars start to get traffic. I was a little too early on turn in. Groups 1 and 2 have already, Group 2 is starting to overhaul Group 1 already. A little too much momentum going in, had to give a little more brake at apex. The other thing, don't be surprised when you turn in for turn 6 there, because you're cresting the hill as you're turning in. You're going to feel the steering wheel get a little light. Just kind of get in your muscle memory of how far you need to turn that wheel, and don't overturn it. Let's see if I do it right this time. It's a little bit wider on exit than I wanted, but I'd like to have gotten to the apex, or gotten on the curbing. But again, take what the car gives me. Oh, that's a dirty. Yeah, I was looking like, who's pitting? Wow. Okay. So 2 of the F1 cars pitting. That means I might be able to hold them up a little bit. But they are trying for the undercut on the rest of the field. Yeah, so I'm releasing the brake right about the one board. If that one board survives. The carousel's funny because it does tighten up about halfway through, and it ever so slightly. Where you do have to make sure that, you know, and when you notice it, to just get out of the fourth gear, that you get out of the and you know, just crack the throttle just that little bit more so you don't start pushing wide. I know that the drivatars at Road America sometimes have problems in the carousel. It'd be interesting to see if any of these cars just kind of on their own go wide and go into the gravel. I might be able to brake a little bit later there, but that's okay. I don't need to start pushing yet. I don't know if the pop-ups, I guess the Xbox pop-ups don't show, but it's telling me that my controller batteries are low, which is the controller to my left, not the wheel, thank God. All right. Is it possible? This is where things are going to get a little dicey. I'm going to get a little bit of run out of... nope, I'm going to back off because they're going to be slow, and I can get my run here. Oh, no, excuse me. I'm gonna dive bomb. Excuse me. Whoa, okay. So that's not gonna be an easy pass to make in the race. It's got a little bit of a run. So I'm gonna go defensive. As he goes defensive, as we have somebody exiting pits onto the racing line. That won't. Oh, you shall not pass. Oh, he's going to get me here. I'm not going to be able to hold him off. Scary part is they've already made their pit and they're ahead of me. This does not bode well. Alright, so that was me just holding the throttle through there, and you can kind of see how the back end stepped out. So again, it's probably just, it's a confidence lift, but if it keeps the back end stable, it's probably better to just give it that little lip going in. Ah, see, someone there went off. Oh, and it's a Ford Fairlane. Watch the lean. Whoa! Three-wheeling. Wasn't expecting the. I don't know which car that is. Oh yeah, did I mention that for the driver tires I do have limit driver tire aggression turned off? I don't think I've got. Yeah, again, that's the Fairlane's going to be very fast in a straight line. The only thing I can hope is I hold him off enough, but then when that F1 car gets to that Fairlane, it's right at turn one, and he just blocks the crap out of it. And he doesn't. Oh well. I'm actually going to try an outside pass here. And wanted to step out. All right, we will box this lap. Shaggy SoCal, box, 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 box. And 7. I think I'm still turning in a little bit early there. Wasn't expecting the gear shift. And probably one of the easiest pit entries in the game. Let's see, do I get caught before I run into him? Yep. Again, well, just coming out of the final turn, if you're going to go to the pits, just keep it to the right side, floor it up the hill, it'll catch you, and in you go. Pit exit, depending on when you're pitting, there is a dotted white line, I think pretty much all the way down to turn one. So if you're exiting the pit lane, especially if you're exiting in traffic, you're trying to, do an undercut or an overcut, stay to the right of that dotted white line into turn one. Let's see what that actually looks like. And I've got the charge in front of me, which is going to make life interesting. So yeah, just stay over here. And just kind of work your way back out. That might be one you might want to practice once or twice just to get a good feel for when to brake. I almost went too wide. When to brake for turn one coming out of the pits. Now, certainly if you exit out and you're in no traffic whatsoever, it's a dotted white line. I think, you might be allowed to just move over on the racing line. Like the drive guitars do. But the drive guitars just move over to the racing lane regardless if they're in traffic or not. Alright, so we are all the way back in 22nd. Try to floor through. Yeah, the back end. See, look at that. A little bit of a tank slapper. I'm going to try to go full throttle this time. So that's kind of what you're going to expect if you try to go full throttle. If you like making the kink an adventure, then be my guest. But I think I will just do a confidence lift on entry and keep the back end underneath me. Excuse me. Got some cars in pit lane. Got a lot of traffic in front of me. Ready exiting. Okay. And won't clear them. On the hill we go. Oof. Clear there. Yeah, I don't have any momentum. I'm not going to be able to take a shot under braking, but I'll get really close to it. And maybe see if I can outrun him up the hill. Ooh, yep, I got it. Push you wide. I'll leave you room on exit if you leave me room in the middle. Thank you. I can almost do that one flat. Got to be very gentle with the steering. That would be a time penalty. second, third. Go way early. Got one. All right, good. Got a little bit of a run. I don't know that I've got enough to... No. Ah! You're supposed to stay to the inside. Laps to go. Yeah, I had to count on my fingers. Can't do math in my head. At least not easily. At least not when I'm driving. I will probably... Oh yeah, I'm going to be by him before I get to turn 5, so... Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Oh. Excuse me. Well, let me try braking here on the inside just to see. If you find that you're having to go defensive and really take turn 5 very narrow on braking, you might, to help with the turn in, it might be worth going down to first gear just to give the car a little extra, a little extra point going in, or help you get it slow down. Okay, you're going to keep it on the track? You're going to keep it on the track? There, you're going wide. You're going a little wide. You're going a little wide. Three-wheeling it through the carousel. Can you make it through the kink? Oh, you made it through the kink. Very nicely done. Yeah, I'm definitely going to take a shot here. Again, it's the historic drag racers. I know they don't brake as well. Oh. There was that part of me, just the way he was going through the last corner, it's like, I hope he doesn't go into the pit lane. That would be very bad. A little oversteery. Well, it looks like the F1 cars have gotten out in front. They're gone. So let's see if we can at least get a 4th place out of this. Oh, that's pushing. I didn't brake enough. I could have done that a little better, give him a little more room on exit. I'm gonna try it flat one more time. See if I can actually. Take the kink flat at your own risk, because I think for as many times as I think there's equal chance at getting it right and not having any issues, as it is getting it wrong and having the back end step out. Say if you're on a wheel and you're gentle with your steering and you're very good, very smooth, you probably can do it. And 7th, 6th, 5th in front of me, passing 4th. Okay, so I got two cars. I got two cars to try and pass. Actually, what would be awesome is if I can get by both of these guys on this lap. So let's see what we can do. At least, hopefully, give me 1 or 2 laps to try and set a clean, quick lap. I don't think I've set a clean lap since the race started. I've either done stupid mistakes or I've been in somebody's draft. A little bit late on the brakes, so I had to give it a little more brake than I wanted. I'm going to try on the outside. A little bit too late on the brake, so just drop it down to first. Help get the car turned and into the carousel. You're still there? Oh, you're way wide now, buddy. Can you haul it back in, or are you going to go off? Kept it under control. All right. There we go. We're going to go flat. Yeah, yeah. Go flat at your own risk. I think just that little confidence lift on entry is gonna help you immensely. So, .236.1 is my best lap, but that's clean. And I know I've run down and think in the 233s. Maybe low 234s. Let's see. Getting sloppy now. all you need, just that little lift. And so we're up on 2.8. Three. I'm not going to be able to set a clean lap. So we'll just use this one as kind of the reference of what my best lap is. $2:33.09. Oh wait. Oh, that was clean. Yay! Shows how much I'm paying attention. Tenth down. 1/10 down. Right now it's just, can I get fourth place? I should be able to, because again, you know, for whatever advantage he has on the straights, you know, for the first half of the course, I should be able to get by him here. Probably heading down through Hurry Down. Well, as long as I get it right. There's the run. Going over to the right. Thank you. Gonna take a look. That'll be a good place to, I'm sure we'll see a lot of passes through there. Oh, a little oversteer. A little too much steering. And that is Road America in the Falcon XB. Should be a lot of fun. Again, I've enjoyed driving this car this season, so I think Road America is a good track to end the season on. So with that, let's look at the race time. Excuse me. Yeah, 37:49, almost 38 minutes. Yeah, it might be. I mean, that's 14 laps. It might be 13. You know, just depending on the mode. So just, you know, 13, 14 won't be more than 14 laps. That's for sure. That's for sure. So with that, hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you on track sometime next week. And live streaming. Again, have a great weekend. Happy racing.